Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order for the Brawley City Council and successor agency to Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting agenda Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. and at our City Council chambers at 383 Main Street in Brawley. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Couchman.
Here.
Councilmember Nava.
Here.
Councilmember Wharton.
Here.
Here. Councilor Hodge.
Here. And Mr. Mayor Pro
I
Tem
have.
Hamby is absent. Okay. And we don't have a pastor here today, so our Councilman George Nava will do the honors of the invocation. Please stand.
Stand. Dear God, please bless our community. Please bless this meeting. Please bless our country. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Morton, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you both. Good job. Okay. So we'll move on to item number 1, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as
Second.
written.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Moving on to item number 2, public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Do we have anyone here for public comments? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and go to item 2A, introduction of newly hired Community Services Officer Veronica Vargas by Interim Police Chief Scott Shepard. Please come up.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Councilman. This is Veronica Vargas, and she is from the Imperial Valley, went to school in Calexico, and earned an associate's degree in administration and justice over in Phoenix. She currently, I think, lives in Imperial, and her parents live here in Brawley. So they'll get her to move up here closer, help with childcare and that kind of thing. So she comes to us from the sheriff's office and with really extensive experience in the records division. And they might be disappointed to have lost her, but we are happy to have gained her because we could definitely use her help. So we're super excited to welcome her aboard, and this is Veronica Vargas.
Congratulations.
Just thank you for the opportunity. I also worked here as a security officer, so here in Brawley. So it's good to be back.
Fantastic.
Good,
very good.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Welcome to Brawley, and maybe you will spend more time in Brawley, and we'd like to congratulate you. Anybody else have any comments for Veronica?
Just congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy to have you on board.
Congratulations to you and welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah. And congratulations. Look
We'll
forward
be
to working
seeing
with
you
you.
around. Thank you. Okay. Okay, item number 3, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to regular business. Under regular business number 4A, discussion and potential action regarding the consumer price adjustment, rate adjustment for all solid waste, recycling, and street sweeping services, and pass-through costs for implementing the state mandated 2020 organics waste recycling program per California State Assembly Bill 1594 and Assembly Bill 1826. The backup is on pages 35 through 41, and we have Tyler, will it be covering this?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, fellow council members. So, per the franchise agreement between the City of Brawley and Republic Services, Republic is entitled to an annual CPI adjustment. For 2020, that CPI adjustment will be 2.5. Republic is also proposing, and all the details are in the staff report and the backup for there, is also proposing to the following: to increase the commercial consumer rate by the CPI of 2.5, and to waive the CPI increase for the residential customers. And they also have proposed a pass-through of about $475,000 of expenses for the processing of organic and green waste recycling program that was mandated by Assembly Bill 1826. Per the staff report, staff is recommending the allocation of the organics program as follows: an increase of $1.88 for industrial customers, which would bring the monthly bill to $23.93, and a total increase of 5% for the consumer customers, which includes the 2.5 CPI and the additional 2.5% for the recycling costs, bringing the proposed rate to $131.08 for the 3-yard at one time a week. There's multiple levels depending on the container size and the frequency of pickup. But for the 3-yard and one pickup per week commercial customer, that would come out to $131.08.
Okay, yeah, just clarification on that. I think you had said consumer, but it was commercial customer that you're referring to. Okay.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, and for
Yeah.
the residential.
Commercial customer, yes.
And residential is 188, right? $1.88.
Increase, yes.
Okay. I just want to clarify that too.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay. Are there any questions? Clarifications? The division manager for Republic Services, Mr. Herman Hernandez, is here today also. If anybody has any questions of him, or if he would like to make any comments. Okay. Please come up. Please state your name for the record.
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Peter Sternberg. I'm with Republic Services. I'm the general manager. And with me is Herman Hernandez, who is our division manager. And just a little more information on this, the rate adjustment we're asking for. As Tyler has mentioned, it's in result to a change in legislation as it relates to organics. And so when we talk about organics, I just want to be clear, there's really two waste streams we're looking at. The first one is the green waste that we collect from residential customers, which would be your leaves, branches, grass, plants, sometimes other stuff that shouldn't go in there, but primarily that's what we're looking at there. And the second stream is the same waste from commercial and multifamily establishments, but also food waste. And so when California looks at their waste generations, about 30 million tons a year go into the landfill system. And it's estimated about 30% of that is organics. And so what California wants to do is remove that from the landfills. And so there's actually two bills, 1826 and 1594, that deal with this and divert that material to either composting or alternative energy. So that's the goal of the legislation. And so what's changed recently that we're here today is in the beginning of this year, January 1, 2020, the diversion for alternative daily cover, where your green waste was going in the past, we were using it to cover the trash at the end of the day at the landfill, that is no longer considered diversion. I think we had mentioned that in a previous meeting. So that now needs to be composted. The second piece is establishing that commercial organics program. And so we'll be taking that material and mixing it with the green waste as well for the composting. So that's the two waste streams that are making this up. There's no local solution right now. There's no compost facility here. And partly probably because the volume is not that great that's generated in Imperial Valley. So it would need to come from somewhere else. And that's kind of our plan. It's going to our Copper Mountain landfill, which is in Arizona. We have cited that one with a composting permit, and we'll probably be using that for waste coming from Southern California as well. So San Diego's an option as well as Riverside and Orange County. Thank you. Orange County. Lost my mind there for a second. So what we're asking for in this cost recovery is really to cover that cost to transport to load, transport, and process that material into compost, as well as the establishing that program for the commercial customers. And we're going to start off with toters to the commercial customers for the food waste. We'll exchange those weekly or more often if necessary. Wash them out, empty the stuff out, wash them out, and then the next week return those carts back. So they're always getting a clean cart at the food establishments, because you really can't have the stuff bagged. It needs to be kind of in the cart.
Exposed,
It's not going to be. You don't want it sitting around for too long. So that's our solution for putting that out. And we'll be able to provide you with, updates on how the program's working and the implementation, how many customers are signed up for the program as we go through this as well. Just to be clear on the volume, the $475,000 anticipated cost, that's for our 3 franchises in the city, in the county. So we've taken all 3 franchises, the same proposal for each city, so we can handle this, and each city will take a portion of that cost. It's not all $475 just for Brawley. I want to be clear on that. And so we began meeting with the city managers last year. Scheduling is sometimes tough to do when you try and get 3 cities together, and so that's why we're here tonight, to make this effective with March's services. Now, to be clear, January 1st, we did start hauling the material to our Copper Mountain landfill or composting site. So it's been diverted. That we're not asking for anything going back to January 1st. And as Tyler mentioned, we're not asking for the CPI on residential. We understand this is a fairly large increase. And last year we were approved for $1.35 for businesses for the audit on organics. Because of a billing on our end, we couldn't find a way to charge that. We're not asking for that back either. So I just want to be clear. That's what we're proposing tonight, and you have the recommendation from staff, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have with us as well.
I guess just a comment question. It's a combination of both. It's just this would help us remain compliant with the bills that have been passed within the state, right? The program that you're taking over to Arizona.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Part of their legislation, and the way it's written, it's not real clear. It says, hey, you have to establish a program.
Right.
And this is the only way to establish a program that we have would be to compost the material at this time.
Thank you. So it's imposed on us unfunded mandates, and now it's the responsibility of the
They're not
consumer.
giving them any money to implement.
And ultimately, the responsibility falls on the city to
It's our-
enact and
right.
make sure the programs are implemented.
Right. Thank you.
Another question.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Peter, I appreciate some of the clarification also for the public, but we'll kind of look at this. Is there a revisit on how it's actually operating and maybe some of the costs? Because I know there's some cost forecasting that goes into this, right? You're assuming certain amount of waste product, certain number of trips, certain number of customers, if you will. So if there's any, is there any particular adjustment? I know it usually never goes the other way, but if we're finding out that it's, maybe you're getting the volume or whatever the case may be, is there something that the...
Yeah, so as you see there, it's based on 8,400 tons, which is what we've been running the last couple of years. It's also based on the trucking cost and fuel recovery fee. So what we had committed to Rosanna and each one of the cities is that quarterly we'll do that update. And we actually even looked at, since we've been shipping from January, we're pretty close. We're within about 10 cents of that trucking cost. The loadout at our landfill is based on the hours it takes us to load it. And then the processing on our end is the chipping and grinding it up and then put it into windrows.
Yeah.
And at $23.56, that's actually a very low rate. And we did that because our costs are pretty low. In Arizona, to site it was very simple to site it, and very little, additional regulations on us or costs put on us to operate that site. So that's why we were able to do it. The all-in price is $53, and if you compared what other cities are getting, that's actually a pretty low rate. You're seeing $80, $85 to $90 for most cities is what the charge is on the composting.
Good thing you didn't do that in California.
Pardon me?
A good thing you didn't do that in California, right?
Well, it
That would've been-
would have been much more difficult to
Certainly.
get it cited, and I'm not sure we'd be able to do it at our landfill here, so we'd still have to truck it somewhere. So once you put it in the truck,
Sure.
might as well just keep moving it.
I appreciate that. And just one last thing, I think it's more for, we have a little bit of the luxury, even though this material is, available to the public online as our council backup material always is, but Just for clarification, I know what was presented were some other scenarios too, and we're obviously going with the most beneficial scenario. So I don't know if it's you or the city manager wants to comment on that recommendation.
Actually, those scenarios were prepared by staff, and Tyler can walk through the assumptions in each, but basically it's a manner for splitting the costs between commercial and residential using the principle of one grouping generates more green waste than the other. So we worked to evaluate several options, and the recommendation that came forward was one that aims to reflect a fair distribution of the cost. I don't know if you want to add anything further, Tyler, on that front on the scenarios?
No, other than, and the cost was, when I was looking at the different options, I was working with Peter and Herman about what actually is going into the commercial customers that, as in relation to the startup and as in relation to the residential customers.
Yep.
So.
Understood.
Okay.
Appreciate it, yeah.
I think, anybody else have any other questions? The implementation date is when? When do you start?
It'll be effective with March services.
March services, okay. And if later, there's composting done closer than Arizona or in Imperial County or closer, would that be reevaluated?
Yeah, well, certainly, if there's a better solution locally, a less expensive option, I mean, we'd be foolish not to do that.
There won't
Okay.
be.
But my understanding is there's none in Imperial County, right?
I don't
Correct?
see
Not
it.
in
There's
California.
actually a permitted facility, but last I know, they
there
were
won't
trying to
be.
sell it because, once again, it's a volume-driven business, and that's what makes it difficult to start up and run a facility. We know the volume, we know what we can do, so that's how we can offer the price we did.
Okay.
And it goes back to my comment with respect to, good thing you didn't do it in California because the cost
The cost
would be
is
enormous.
The regulations and everything in California. Okay, thank you so much, appreciate it. Thank you, Tyler. Is that it? I think that, okay, so I'll go ahead and call for the question.
Make a motion to approve the item.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 4B, discussion and potential action to adopt Resolution 2020, resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, appointment a member to the Brawley Parks and Recreation Commission. Backup is on pages 42 to 47. And did everyone have an opportunity to review the applicants? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council that has applied for the position with the Parks and Rec Department?
I'll just keep this brief.
Please state your name, please.
I'm Mark Camby, and I'm on that list. I'd like to urge you to select someone that has the vision, energy, and tenacity to make a difference for our city when you make this decision. And thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, I have to take off. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hamby. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Richard Diaz, and I applied for this position just to get involved with the city and start. I've been involved with the city for the longest, but not in a regular, capacity
Yeah.
of with a title and stuff. But other than that, helping with the city and with Little League, Pop Warner, fundraisers, So when I saw this position coming up, I figured, hey, I'll apply so I can, give back to the community. I'm always giving it back to the community, but on a regular basis.
Fantastic.
So that's it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Is there anyone else here? Okay. I would just like to,
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
appoint Mr. Richard Diaz.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Congratulations, Mr. Day.
Congratulations, Mr.
Mr. Diaz, you're on board.
Yeah.
First meeting is tomorrow.
I can't.
Gotcha.
He says he's busy, can't make it.
If you have any questions, just ask Julio.
Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to departmental reports. Well, before we move on, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Diaz for coming forward and applying for this position. I think he'll be a great benefit to our Parks and Rec Commission. Thank you. Marjo, item number 5A, 2020 Adult Softball League update by interim Parks and Rec Director Marjo Mello. And backup is on pages 48 through 49.
Thank you, and I'm also very happy with your new appointment, so thank you.
Okay.
It's an important commission.
Yes, it is.
We have a new handout that is designed for 8 teams. We had a meeting a week ago Monday, and several people came and gave really good input, and were able to come up with some suggestions on how to reduce some of the costs. So I'm just going to say that because we had a preponderance of female attendees, we decided to go ahead and go with 8 teams. So if there's a women's league or a men's league, as long as there's a minimum of 8 teams, then these numbers are absolutely accurate now. Because before we were looking at 16 teams or 20 teams or whatever, this is accurate for 8 teams. So as long as we're in a multiple of 4, we'll be in good shape for all the costs will be absolutely even. And what it came down to is $1,231 per team, and that means there's no scorekeeper. And the applicants were really lively and let me know things like they already take their own scores and keep track, and all those kinds of things. So that was a great cost reduction of about $3,000 from the original. So we looked at a lot of different factors. We cut back on the number of hours that we devote every time that we get the fields ready every day. So for the 8 teams, that would be like a Monday, Wednesday, and that person would only work 2 days that week, where before it was 4 days. But if we have 16 teams, 8 and 8, then the person would be working 4 days, but all the costs would be exactly the same. So if if a teams decide to play, if they have a sponsorship, then they can take the 1231, deduct their sponsorship, and then divide up the rest among them. If they don't want to go with the sponsorship and they have 16 players, it would be $76.94 per person. And if they have 18 players, it would be $63.38 per person. If they ended up with 20 players, it would even be a little bit less. So these are the accurate numbers that we're looking at.
Any comments from council?
My only comment is, I think per our last meeting, I ended up having a handful of phone conversations, kind of sharing a little bit more on the cost perspective, city as a whole, and glad to see where they wound up that evening. I know I followed up a little bit with Marjo as well. Mm-hmm. So I think at the end of the day it was understanding, both sides really understanding perspective, and then arriving at, kind of the solution here, which was the number. So it appeared like we have pretty good consensus. So thank you, Marjo.
Oh, you're very
leading the
welcome.
charge.
We all want to have the league. I mean,
Right.
it's a tradition in Brawley. People have fun. They're very passionate about it. So I'm hoping this works out for this year.
Okay, well, we appreciate all the work that you put into it, and our council also, and working with the players, and we hope for a very successful season. Thank you.
Me too. And I also wanted to let you know for the girls softball, we actually do have about 120 players, so it worked out really good with our estimates. So
Okay, good.
yeah,
That's
and
great.
tonight's the last night for the boys basketball, and the Lions Center parking lot is packed. So
It looked like it was.
it did.
I was
yeah.
over there.
So good stuff going on in
Thank
Parks
you.
and Rec.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, do we need to That's just a report, right? So we don't take
Yeah.
any action.
It's just a report, so I don't know if there was any
That's
comments.
it.
was
Okay.
any input, we could work on it or whatever.
I think we're fine with that. Thank you. Okay, then, the next one is update on emergency construction project at the Brawley Water Treatment Plant to replace components of 2 sedimentation basins by Public Works Director Guillermo Cias.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. The emergency continues at the water treatment plant with this project. Last week, the contractor completed the installation of lights, chains, and motors at the west side sedimentation basin. Next week, electrical systems will be installed and connections to the motors will be performed. The trough are being manufactured right now, and next week we expect to get a firm date for delivery to be able to plan for the installation. Those will be the last component of this sedimentation basin. Those troughs are kind of pieces that are at the top of the basin that convey the water from one extreme to the other. The clean water with the sludge removed already to drain to the filter section of the plant. Any questions that you have?
Sounds
In
like it's moving along.
flight, chain, and motors, flight and chains and gears are the mechanical equipment that remove the sludge at the bottom of the basin once it's sedimented and remove it from the water. And the motors are the pieces that move those mechanical components that are pretty much removing the sludge at the bottom.
Okay.
That's in general the
removal
The meaning.
of the sludge sounds like a good thing.
right, regardless where it's going.
Thank you.
Yeah, regardless.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Guillermo.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, informational reports. Monthly staff report for March 2020, prepared by Shirley Bonias, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator, is on page 50. Did you have a comment? Yes, go ahead,
Just
Rosanna.
wanted to note that we've had a number of changes in our personnel outlook, and you may have seen this Sunday, an ad did run on a number of those vacancies. We do expect a number of other advertisements to be forthcoming as we continue to work through the personnel actions required. We do have Shirley Bonias back on a very limited basis, so she's assisting with items that have longer lead times and that we really, really need to move quickly and not lose time. So I was grateful for her willingness to both provide an updated report as well as initiate some of the outreach that's necessary for recruitment.
Thank you, Rosanna. Any questions? Okay. Well, this is going to be a quick meeting today. We're going to go ahead and move on to city council member reports. And we'll start with council member Couchman.
And this is where it slows down, no. Hold on, let me get out my report. Okay.
Your scroll of like list.
I attended the collab breakfast the other morning, nice breakfast at the Stockman's Club. I also attended the Hidalgo Officers Installation Dinner, which our mayor was the keynote speaker, and she did a fine job, just to let you know. And it was well attended. There were quite a few people there. I think there was another event, though, too, going on at the same time. So maybe there weren't as many people there as there have been in the past. I also put on my Cat in the Hat outfit and read to the kids at Whitter School for the Read Across America program. That was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, and then today I went to the Brawley Women's Christian League meeting at the Gateway Church and gave them a brief Civil War presentation, historical presentation. And they also had a lady there that had lived through Nazi Germany, being born in Germany and lived through that time period. And she gave a lengthy talk on the issues that they had during that time period. And then that is it, I think.
Oh, thank you. That was short today.
I'll keep it
Councilman
very,
Nava?
I'll keep it very brief. Attended ICTC meeting. I just wanted to let you know, representing the city well as the chairperson there, so thank you for the opportunity there. Also had IVRMA action, and now it's under ICTC, and we took action here tonight as well. And so also had the check presentation for the $12 million plus
Yes, we did.
private investment.
We attended that. I have my picture right here.
On East Main Street. And I read to the students as well yesterday and today at Witter School, and then at Hidalgo School today, and then I think this Friday I'm going to Oakley.
I'm supposed to go to Oakley too. I
So,
think I'm scheduled.
okay. And then an LTA oversight meeting that I participated in. I'll give a more thorough update at our future meeting, but there's a lot to discuss on those fronts. But, there's other things that took place, but for the sake of time, I'll pass on those things until later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Warden,
You
please.
bet. And also another, I know you attended on the night of the Hidalgo installation officers. I actually attended the El Centro Regional Medical Center Foundation, and it's just a longtime tradition for me. Yeah, tied a little bit to work there, but again, it was actually very impressive. There's a lot of new members and directors on their foundation, so it had pretty tremendous participation. So again, successful event down there. I think healthcare in the valley as a whole. It's always great to see that support. Also was invited to attend, I think this was the first one, called the two-on-two chamber meeting with our mayor pro tem, and met with the chamber executive board president, as well as the chamber director, and began kind of a new engagement there, which will be interesting. Hopefully leads to some more positive dialogue. I think that we're trying to move forward with the chamber. Outside of that, I think we covered the softball topic, so in hopes that that was a little contribution there on a topic I think that definitely needed a little bit more information. So again, very happy that turned out well. Other than that, I do want to thank, I know tonight's kind of the topic of Parks and Rec, but as now a fairly long time participant in some of our facilities, including the use of the swim pool with one of our institutional users, I want to kind of underscore how important that continues to be. And I've had some talks with our mayor about the potential. I brought this up in the past. I'm going to keep trying until I can pull it off. About the idea in the past about bringing a small Brawley triathlon, which we found through some exploration with staff. There are some cost prohibiting factors, mainly around closing roads and safety. So I've endeavored in a new sport that's just swim and run. So we eliminate the bike element of it. So I think once again that the Lions Center area or facility can work out really well. So I may be coming back at council, maybe work through staff with some of the ideas and see if we can bring that back potentially even this spring, some kind of a small community event that can bring people out as the weather starts to warm up. So that's my report.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I attended some of the same events. I did attend the Brawley, it was a Brawley Community Appreciation at the Sun Community Federal Credit Union on the 20th. So I was able to attend that. That was pretty much for everybody that banks with Sun Community, and we were invited also, so very nice event. I also attended the COLAB State of the County address on the 21st in the morning, and then I think most of us were able to gather here for Assemblymember Garcia's presentation of the check to us in the amount of $12 million for the affordable housing project that's going to be here in Brawley, Alcatillo Springs development. So that was a very nice event for us to be here and get presented with that sizable check for housing. And then that evening, I was a keynote speaker for the Hidalgo Society Installation of Officers. I was honored to be asked to be the speaker, and very nice attendance, and I was happy to share with them what it takes to be a mayor of Brawley. That was part of my presentation anyway, about a fourth of it, so I didn't want to bore them too much, so I decided to throw a few other subject matter into the presentation. Then I also participated in the Read Across America kickoff at Witter School yesterday, and they've asked me to participate at Oakley and Phil Swing also, so I'll be doing that this week. And other than that, I spent a good time with family this weekend. I had relatives come in from San Francisco area, and they were here for about 3 days, so that kept us really busy. So other than that, that was my 2-week period. Thank you. Rosanna?
Just as a reminder, we do have our upcoming State of the City address. It is Thursday, March 9th. Doors will open at 7:30 a.m. at the Lions.
19.
19th, my apologies.
19th.
March 19th.
March 9th is a Monday.
March 19th, Thursday. The presentation will begin at 8 a.m. And there will be no charge for entrance. So we're looking forward to strong community turnout at our Lions Center facility. Want to also note that we do have our upcoming community cleanup date set, and in the next agenda, we'll be featuring a number of announcements, including that, as well as any future utility billing inserts that are associated with it. So looking forward to continuing to make all of our community members aware of the services that are available at no cost in the city. And I am also hoping to bring to you at the next meeting a update. We did have some damage in our showers on the pool side from the recent rains. As you may recall, we've got a larger project that needs to be undertaken for a roof replacement at the facility, and we're hoping to bring back to you a project here in the not so distant future, hopefully tied to the budget process, to accomplish a complete replacement of the roof, because the drying out option is kind of a limited solution.
Right.
So looking forward to a final cure for those circumstances. And I don't have anything further.
Okay, thank you, Rosanna. City Attorney report?
Just have a couple of code enforcement cases pending. One's someone operating a business without a license. Another one is somebody who's parking all kinds of things on his front lawn and backyard. And anyway, they're pending, and hopefully we'll get them cleaned up.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk report?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Well, that concludes our meeting for today. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll go into closed session. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.